I know who to dump on, and this will ingratiate me to the masters, right? When you point out that foundational black Americans also own townhouses and businesses, the tethers immediately move the goalposts and they say that, well, all black Americans should be owners of townhouses, etc.
Another lie. When has anybody said that all black people should be owners of townhouses and things like that? All white people don't even own that. Why would all black people should be owning that? You're just making stuff up.
Even though most black immigrants are not, even with all the government and corporate support they receive, even though many of them are supposed to be educated before they get here, why is it that their education never goes to empower their home countries? How come they haven't figured out that trick yet? Why?
What are you talking about? You just read the article about people being elites in their own home countries, professionals, elites, government bureaucrats coming to America just to further their education and then go back home, or just deciding to just stay in America. What is this nonsense that people are just fleeing their country and didn't figure out how to help their country or whatever other talking point or whatever you mean by that? That's dumb. Like just because you come a quote unquote poor country doesn't mean you're poor. Just because you're from a rich country doesn't mean quote unquote you're rich. Like when you talk about fixing stuff, you gotta talk about what's yours to fix. Nobody can't fix a whole country. That doesn't work like that. A one person or just a handful of people can't fix a country. They got their stuff in order. Like like somebody could say, why don't you fix the black community? That's in your ability to fix for the most part of black people. But if somebody say that, you'll start crying about white supremacy. So if white supremacy is the reason you can't do the little thing like fix a community, why is white supremacy not an acceptable or justifiable reason why individual can't do the big thing of fixing a country? See, that's y'all kill yourself. Y'all kill yourself. Every time y'all say something about somebody, they can just say, "Oh, white supremacy." And the task that you're asking me to do is much harder and much bigger. But why didn't you do it? Since you the masters of fighting white supremacy and you always go against white supremacy, then you'll start saying, well, white supremacy. Well, the same thing is true for them, white supremacy. And again, they got their stuff in order. Actually, somebody who comes from an educated family, a rich educated family, who's living their life and putting themselves in a position to have a better life, why don't you make a way for millions and millions and millions of people? Or why didn't you do it so you're a failure? Doesn't that make all black celebrities failures? Like, you got these are people who are upper class, middle class professionals. Asking them why they didn't fix the country. Well, why didn't all these millionaire athletes fix their communities where they came from, their neighborhoods where they came from? You see how easily somebody can flip that right back on you and you got no answer for it? But, oh, you'll say white supremacy or sellouts or whatever the case may be. But anyway, we're going to keep it going because aren't you from a black community? Even though you probably are the black authority, so y'all probably from Shreveport, Louisiana. Y'all millionaires. Why y'all ain't fixing Shreveport? Shreveport is one of the poorest cities, black cities in America. Y'all millionaires. Why y'all not getting to that to fixing that? But anyway, we're gonna keep it going.
Supremacy has had long experience with weaponizing immigration against black Americans. It is actually a time-honored tradition for at least the last 200 years, and this is extended even to black immigrants, and these immigrants know it. The same way the Irish knew that even though they were being horribly oppressed by the British in Ireland, once they made it to the United States, and met the cousins of those same British oppressors, there was a social policy of whiteness that they could gain access to, if they made it clear they would uphold the racial hierarchy. This article documents that even before the policy changes brought about by foundational black Americans in the 60s, you
Those policy changes were brought about by black people. First of all, foundational black American, we got to say this again, is a hate cult. not a people, not a lineage. Second, that was the black community, including black immigrants. There is no civil rights movement without Harry Belafonte, without Cindy Portier, without C.C. Tyson, and many others. Like it doesn't exist. Like, let's get that clear. They're like, it doesn't exist without Constant Baker Motley. There is no civil rights movement. So this that's another lie you're telling. And that goes for every movement. Like, I don't know why I gotta keep saying this, but I'm gonna keep saying this. Name the movement, name the accomplishment, the social movement or accomplishment or big thing that black people ever did that since slavery ended to now, especially if we talking about the 20th century to now, that didn't include black immigrants being the creators, the leaders, or in the forefront, or the patrons of it in some way, shape, or form. That's another it's a challenge I've been put out and nobody can't answer, but we're gonna keep it going.
Have immigrants from the Caribbean and also Africa who were bringing an attitude of contempt and disdain with them. Yes, there were rioters, a number of them, but white power had long ago learned to identify a compliant and subservient Negro and weed out the ones who might be troublemakers. When these people run around with their accents and they're constantly talking about where they came from, they'll tell you where the hell they came from before they even tell you their name. What they're doing is they're trying to audition to white power. They're trying to advertise to the white powers that be that, hey, I've got no connection to those messy, troublesome FBAs over there.
Not necessarily true. Some people just really proud of their culture and where they come from. That's the part that you're missing. Everybody who's proud of their culture and big enough their culture is not doing it for malicious intent. I would even say the majority are not doing it for malicious intent, but we're gonna keep it going.
Hey, Massa, you can trust me. That's the unspoken part, though for a number of them, like Candace Owens and others, they say it openly. But what truly amazes me is people sitting here having the nerve.
Candace Owens is not FBA? How was Candace Owens not FBA? Beyonce is. How was Candace Owens not FBA, but Floyd Mayweather is FBA? Make it make sense, man. Or Malcolm X. How's Malcolm X FBA, but Candace Owens is not FBA? Keep it going.
To form their mouths to say that foundational black Americans have no ambition? Who the hell are they trying to fool? These are people who came to the U.S. and their accomplishment was to get a job, as if that's never happened before. Perhaps for them it hadn't. But what they really mean is that they failed to build an economy at home that would have sustained them financially, so in order to feel better about having to
Going to another country to get an education doesn't mean your country failed. How many Americans live outside of America? Aren't there like 3 million Americans or like something high like that living in other countries around the world? Did America fail? So if a German came to America to go to Harvard, that means Germany failed? How can that be true? Not true for the German, but it's true for the Jamaican who came to go to Harvard. So he a failure because he came America to go to Harvard, or he came to America to go get a job at a tech company. But the German who does that is not a failure. Again, racism, anti-black talking points coming from the FBA hate cult.
flee to where black people did build an economy, they trashed the people who opened doors for them and who made it possible for them to have opportunities and rights.
Again, this article, you're mixing up your talking points. This article is pre the civil rights movement. This is pre the accomplishments of the civil rights movement. It's pre the accomplishments. So how are they trashing people who made a way for them? They here on their own muscle. That's what I always kept telling y'all. There was hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of black immigrants and their descendants living in America before the accomplishments of the civil rights movement. So who opened the door for them? Black people had no say so in those black immigrants coming here. Had no say so in them coming here, no say so in them getting jobs, no say so in none of that. So what are you talking about? You're mixing and matching your talking points because you're not really that smart. You know your audience is not that smart. They're just gonna just Say this, say that. Countless contradictions in one video. Ridiculous. Pre-recorded video at that.
kind of rights they don't even have at home. And yet, as this article explains, they want to disassociate themselves from the people and the freedom struggle that made their so-called success possible. They love to claim, oh, racism? What racism? I don't see any racism around here. And why are they demonstrating and causing problems and all this? Why are they sitting here just agitating? I mean, there's nothing wrong with America. These white supremacists, why, they're just fine. There's barely a single hour that passes by that doesn't have some black immigrant claiming that racism isn't such a problem. And they come from a place.
Um, that's just black people in general. The biggest people who promote that racism is not a problem and we need to get over it is black people in America themselves. The biggest people who have done the most damage to black people right now are black people themselves. People you would call quote unquote foundational black Americans. Majority of people who talk that, oh, racism isn't real, we need to get over it, that's just an excuse, oh, y'all lazy, y'all this and y'all that. A lot of the stuff that the West Indians was saying, black people were saying about themselves. A lot of them learned that from other black people. Who is Candace Owens, who you claim is, what you call it, is Caribbean? Who's her big homie? Larry Elders. A lot of the black immigrants who talk like that, who did they learn? Who books were they reading? Who did they learn that from? Thomas Sowell, who has done more damage to black people than any other person in American history. Clarence Thomas, who is Trump currently, who just dropped out of the New York City mayoral race to go work for HUD to help destroy the black community. Eric, um, Eric Adams, who is the current head secretary of HUD. It's a black guy. I think his name is like Tom or something like that. Who's also going to help attack and destroy the black community via HUD. Who was who was the leader of HUD during Trump's first administration? Ben Carson. So what is this you're talking about? Well, we're gonna keep it going.
Where racism doesn't exist because, hey, in our countries back home, everyone's black, so, we don't really see racism in America. And then white society gives them their wake-up call, such as when Caribbean immigrants like Botham Jean and Akai Gurley and Patrick Dorisman are killed. And then suddenly they see racism everywhere. Well, that is until they realize, ooh, I still want to be in good with masses, so I forgive them regardless. All the anti-FBA hate, all the performative extremist rhetoric from them. They put on a pathetic display of denying reality. And the audience for their little sideshow isn't us. It's the dominant society that they're desperate to get in good with. And they hope that if they can just heap enough scorn on us publicly, then Zaddy will notice their shameless bootlicking and throw them a bone. And they actually think that this kind of behavior is smart. This has been going on for several generations now.
Where in this article did it say any of that? But we're gonna keep it going.
Well before the 60s. It explains their backstabbing behavior towards us when they get here, but it also explains why nothing ever got popping back in their home countries. It's just a fact. Builders don't hate, and haters don't build. This
What do you mean they didn't get anything popping in their home country? They got a home country. Black people in America, the biggest movements in black American history was about black people getting their own country, their own nation, whether it be here in America or in Africa or somewhere else. And it never materialized. They got their home countries. And second, again, there is no black movement in the history of the United States of America, especially we talk from the 20th century to now, that black immigrants didn't create, weren't the weren't the leaders, weren't in the forefront in some way, shape, or form, or the patrons of.